So recently the TSN trade bait list was updated. This list is made by TSN's Frank Saravelli, and I wanted to make a video reacting to it. There are some names on there that you would expect, but there's also some really surprising players as well. I will go over the complete list and give you guys my thoughts on each player, but I will more so be specifically focusing on the bigger name players and the guys you wouldn't necessarily expect to be trade bait. Now before we begin, if you guys want to see me do more videos like this where I react to things made by other people within the hockey community, be sure to leave a like on the video and let me know you enjoyed down below in the comment section. And as always, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and now let's begin. Here is a complete look at the TSN trade bait list, all 20 players featured. I will quickly read off all of the names and then we can go through and talk about them one by one. At number 1, not really a big surprise, Matt Murray, followed by James Van Riemsdyk, Josh Anderson, OEL, Patrik Laine, Shayne Gostisbehere, Kyle Palmieri, Max Domi, Marc-Andre Fleury, Chris Letang, Ryan Dzingel, Nikolaj Ehlers, Vince Dunn, Alex Killorn, Adam Larsson, Jared McCann, Andreas Johnsson, Rasmus Ristolainen, Frederik Andersen, and Dougie Hamilton. If this is your first time seeing the trade bait list, then you are probably surprised by some of the names you see. I know I definitely was when I first saw it, and we're probably surprised over the same players. Anyways, we'll get into it, but let's start off at the top and talk about number 1 on the list, Pittsburgh Penguins goaltender Matt Murray, who is currently a restricted free agent. Like I said, definitely no surprise here whatsoever, coming off of probably the worst season of his career, finishing with an .899 save percentage and a 20-11-5 record. I mean, at this point it feels all but confirmed that Matt Murray will be traded. I'm sure everybody will be shocked if he's not. Penguins GM Jim Rutherford said that there is a very good chance either Matt Murray or Tristan Jarry will be traded. He went on to say there is already interest and it looks like we're going to have to move one of them. And it really feels like the general consensus is that Pittsburgh will roll with Tristan Jarry into the future. He's 1 year younger than Matt Murray and was much better than him this season. As far as a trade partner goes, I mean, take your pick. Any team that is in need of goaltending should be interested in Matt Murray and at least be picking up the phone to see what the asking price is. Murray is still relatively young, at least compared to other goaltenders, being just 26 years old, and he's already won 2 Stanley Cups. There should be a lot of interest in him, and I would not be surprised if we see Matt Murray traded within the next couple of weeks, so it definitely makes sense as to why he is number 1 on the TSN trade bait list. Number 2 on the list is JVR of the Philadelphia Flyers. He has a cap hit of $7 million through the 2022-23 season. I personally don't think that is going to be an easy contract to move. I definitely get why Philadelphia would want to trade James Van Riemsdyk. They have little to no cap space at all right now and will have to pay Carter Hart after next season, which is going to be expensive. It will be interesting to see how this plays out, but at his age, the contract he's on, and coming off of a really bad showing in the playoffs, I'm just not sure how much interest there would be in JVR. I'm guessing if the Flyers do trade him, they will probably have to attach a draft pick or something, but that's really all I have to say about him being at number 2. Next up on the list is Josh Anderson of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Not really a lot to say on him. I can definitely understand why he's on here. He's an RFA, had a great 2018-19 season with 27 goals, and then this past season was kind of a dud. He was injured a lot, and in the 26 games that he did play, he only scored 1 goal. Would certainly not be surprised if we see Josh Anderson traded, but then on the other hand, I wouldn't really be surprised if he signs like a cheap bridge contract to stay in Columbus. Now, here's where things really start to get interesting. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is at number 4 on the TSN trade bait list. If the Coyotes do wind up trading Ekman-Larsson, my guess is that it has to be for a package that makes them better right now. With Phil Kessel being there and them hoping to re-sign Taylor Hall, they're not going to trade one of their best players for draft picks and prospects. Ekman-Larsson is on a hefty contract, making $8.25 million through the 2026-27 season, but it isn't outrageous. I don't think it's an untradeable contract by any means. I'm not going to sit back and act like no teams would be interested in OEL. He's been a solid offensive defenseman pretty much ever since 2013. I think a team like Winnipeg would probably be interested. I really do feel as though Arizona has to be careful with this though and not just make a trade of this magnitude just for the sake of change. I'm really interested to see how it plays out. Ekman-Larsson is definitely one of the more intriguing names on the list. Speaking of intriguing names on the list, number 5 is Patrik Laine. When this first came out, Laine is the name that everybody was talking about. Just last offseason, Patrik Laine was in the trade rumors a little bit with the whole contract standoff, and then some of the things he had to say about Winnipeg, not liking where he was being played, who he was playing with, and stuff like that. Nothing ever really came of it. He signed that bridge contract that will be up at the end of the 2020-21 season, and Laine just had, in my opinion, the best season of his career in terms of complete game. Everybody loves to talk about how he's not scoring as much as he did when he was a rookie, and especially as much as he did when he was a sophomore, but Laine is a better overall player right now than he was 2 years ago. The Winnipeg Jets definitely have holes that they need to be filled. They need a second line centerman. I don't think it can be Andrew Kopp. I don't think it can be Jack Roslovic. I think they either need to draft one or they need to go out and get one. They could definitely use another top 4 defenseman, but I really don't think trading away Patrik Laine, a 22-year-old guy with the potential to score 50 goals every season, in my opinion, would be the right way to go about things. Winnipeg has other assets that they can trade to fill holes throughout their lineup, which we will talk about a little bit later in the video. I just really think if the Jets do trade Laine that they're going to live to regret it. Number 6 on the trade bait list is Shayne Gostisbehere. Really not going to spend a lot of time on him. Ever since the 2017-18 season where he put up 65 points, it's been really downhill. It really feels like Ghost has been in trade rumors forever now. A while back I made an entire video on him, so definitely not a shock that he's on here. Moving along now, at number 7 we have Kyle Palmieri of the New Jersey Devils, who will actually be a UFA at the end of the 2020-21 season. If the New Jersey Devils aren't very good next season and they find themselves out of the playoff race come trade deadline time, which there's a good chance that could happen, I could definitely see a lot of contending teams being interested in Kyle Palmieri as kind of a rental. He is a really solid player, has scored 20 goals in each of the past 5 seasons, and I mean, if a guy like Barclay Goodrow can fetch you a first round pick, I definitely think the Devils could get a solid return for Palmieri. Number 8 on the trade bait list is Max Domi of the Montreal Canadiens. It seems like Montreal is always at the forefront of trade rumors. They actually just made a trade today acquiring Jake Allen, which is kind of interesting. A little bit weird. They now have a lot of money tied up in their 2 goaltenders. Anyways, getting back to Max Domi, he was one of the league's biggest breakout stars from the 2018-19 season. His first year with Montreal putting up 72 points, and then this year was a little bit of a setback. Definitely not as good of numbers. It's not like he was bad or anything. I feel as though the expectations might have been a little bit too high after what he accomplished last season. I'm interested to see how this plays out. If I had to guess, I would say Max Domi will probably still be a Montreal Canadian next season, but who knows, anything can happen. I did see one thing online that Montreal could potentially be interested in Detroit's Anthony Mantha, and a package going back the other way would be something like Max Domi and Victor Mete, and as a Red Wings fan, please no. Next up at number 9 on the list is Vegas Golden Knights goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury. Not a big surprise he made an appearance on the trade bait board whatsoever, considering what happened where his agent tweeted out the photo of the sword through Fleury's back with Coach Peter DeBoer's name on it. I didn't make a video on that whole situation because quite frankly I thought it was stupid, but it's no surprise that there are now trade rumors stemming from the whole thing. I can tell you one thing, I really do not think the Vegas Golden Knights will trade Marc-Andre Fleury unless they already have Robin Lehner re-signed. If you trade Fleury before that and then Lehner walks in free agency, you kind of leave yourself screwed and don't have a goaltender then. So personally, I don't think we should look too much into the Fleury trade rumors until, well, first until Vegas is eliminated from the playoffs because they're still going strong, and secondly until Robin Lehner re-signs, if he does. Moving along now, number 10 on the list is Pittsburgh Penguins defenseman Chris Letang. I figured when this came out we would see at least a couple of Penguins on the list because Jim Rutherford said they are going to be active and make a lot of changes in the offseason. Really didn't expect to see Chris Letang on here though. He was great this year, and last season he was one of the best defensemen in the entire NHL. He's still under contract through the 2021-22 season at a reasonable $7.25 million cap hit. Frank Saravelli is a really smart insider. Don't think he just throws names on the list for the heck of it, but I would genuinely be shocked if we see Chris Letang traded. Number 11 on the list is Ryan Dzingel of the Carolina Hurricanes. Don't really have a lot to say on him. A bit of a disappointing season with just 8 goals in 64 games after scoring 20 goals in the previous 2 seasons with Ottawa. Dzingel is set to become a UFA once again at the end of the 2020-21 season, and I feel as though anytime a player is in the final year of their contract, we usually hear their name in trade talks a little bit. Next up, coming in at number 12, we have Nikolaj Ehlers of the Winnipeg Jets. We already talked about the Jets a good bit in this video when talking about Patrik Laine, and I said I believe the Jets have other assets they can move other than Laine to improve their roster. And for me, I believe Nikolaj Ehlers is that other asset that the Winnipeg Jets can trade. I think he might be the odd man out here, because I don't think they should trade Laine, and they're definitely not trading Kyle Connor or Mark Scheifele. Don't get me wrong, I love Nikolaj Ehlers. He's somebody who played for the Halifax Mooseheads in junior. I watched him live countless times. He's been really good for Winnipeg ever since entering the league. I really just feel like he might be the odd man out here. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Winnipeg because I feel like I already have a lot in this video, but if there is a trade on the table that really improves the Jets center position or the blue line and you have to send Nikolaj Ehlers the other way, I think they might do it. Number 13, we have Vince Dunn, defenseman for the St. Louis Blues. It definitely makes sense as to why he's on here. He's a restricted free agent and is up for a new contract like his teammate Alex Pietrangelo is. The St. Louis Blues just will not have enough money to bring both of these guys back. It's going to be hard enough if they want to keep Alex Pietrangelo. They've already started to shed some cap. Like I said earlier in the video, they traded away Jake Allen today. If the St. Louis Blues do wind up freeing up enough cap space to re-sign their captain, then I think there's almost like a 95% chance that Vince Dunn is traded in the offseason. Next up, we have Alex Killorn of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Everybody knows Tampa Bay has to shed some cap from somewhere in the lineup, whether that is Alex Killorn or a guy like Andre Palat or Tyler Johnson. I think it is almost guaranteed that one of the three players I just mentioned will be traded, so it's no surprise that one of those guys showed up in this trade bait list. Moving along now, we have defenseman Adam Larsson for the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton is in a really tough spot. They have to improve their blue line. I think the goaltending situation has to be addressed, and they don't necessarily have a lot of assets to trade away or a ton of cap space either. It was a rough year for Adam Larsson. He wasn't able to stay healthy, only playing 49 games in the regular season, only appeared in 2 playoff games, and he is set to become a UFA at the end of the 2020-21 season. Honestly, I'm not sure where Edmonton goes from here with Adam Larsson. Do they trade him? If they do, I don't really see them getting a package in return that makes the team better. They can always just keep him on the team and let him enter free agency at the end of next season. I'm interested to see how this plays out, and there definitely should be some changes in Edmonton over the offseason. Number 16 on the trade bait list is Jared McCann of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Won't spend a lot of time on this. We've already talked about the Pittsburgh Penguins a good amount. We knew they were in for a busy offseason, like Jim Rutherford said. They already acquired Kasperi Kapanen, and it recently came out that they are actively shopping Jared McCann, so no big surprises here. Number 17 is Andreas Johnsson of the Toronto Maple Leafs, another guy that I definitely expected to see on the list. Underperformed this season when he was healthy compared to last year when he scored 20 goals and put up 43 points. Has a cap hit of $3.4 million, which is just too much for this team, and heading into the offseason, we knew they were going to make some moves. A lot of people predicted it was going to be Kapanen and Johnsson on the way out. One of those guys have already been traded, and I would not be shocked whatsoever if we see Andreas Johnsson traded sooner rather than later. And given the fact that he is only 24 and has already had a 20-goal season, there should be a decent amount of interest. Am I the only one that is sick and tired of hearing Rasmus Ristolainen's name in trade talks? It hasn't worked out in Buffalo. It's probably not going to work out. It doesn't seem like he wants to be there. Just trade the guy already. Get to it. Number 19 on the trade bait list is Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender Frederik Andersen. This is kind of a new one. He's not really somebody who has been brought up a lot over the past, year and a half as somebody that the Toronto Maple Leafs are looking to trade. But over the past week, those talks have definitely picked up. I've seen some reports from, I'll admit, some suspect Twitter accounts that report rumors all the time that usually wind up not being true, but the accounts are followed by some of the best insiders, so you just really never know. Anyways, apparently the teams reportedly interested in Andersen, and take this with a grain of salt, are the Carolina Hurricanes and the Calgary Flames. Both of those teams I think could offer up some interesting packages for Andersen, but all you Leafs fans watching this video, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know down below in the comment section. Do you think it's time Toronto moves on from Andersen? I wouldn't say he's all to blame for the playoff failures over the past couple of years, but I won't sit here and act like he's been clutch for them either. And now finally, the last player on the TSN trade bait list, number 20, is actually Dougie Hamilton of the Carolina Hurricanes, which is a name that when I saw kind of confused me, made me scratch my head a little bit. Hamilton was ridiculous this season when healthy for Carolina. 40 points in 47 games, a plus 30 rating. The only reason I can think of that he would be on the trade bait list is because he is set to become an unrestricted free agent following the 2020-21 season, and if he plays next year like he did in the 2019-20 season, he's gonna get a ton of money. Maybe Carolina doesn't want to give him the type of contract he believes he could get on the open market. If that's the case, Carolina should probably explore trading him and not risk losing him for nothing, but ideally I would say Carolina would probably want to keep Dougie Hamilton. That is going to wrap up this video though. We just went over all 20 players on the most recent TSN trade bait list. I had a lot of fun making this video. I know it was a bit longer, but some of you guys have been asking for longer videos. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to go down there and drop a like on it. That is the best way to show your support. And as always, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in the next video.